Hi everyone, this is an introduction to EL6013, which is the dissertation or project module that you complete in the summer semester following the taught components for the MA in Technical Communication and e-learning. EL6013 is a major component of your MA because it's 30 credits, but it is an independent module, which means that you undertake it on your own without contact hours, but with an assigned supervisor to give you guidance. So in this short presentation, I'm going to take you through the module outline, explain the links between RM6011, which is the research methods module that prepares you for your proposal writing, and EL6013, which is the full summer module. And I'll talk to you about the tasks that are required at each stage. This is the module outline for EL6013, and it's available in the Solus site for EL6013, which I've given you all access to. As you'll see, EL6013 is an independent module. What this means is that you work on it on your own. There are no classes scheduled or no taught component, as there has been for modules up to this stage, and you're really consolidating all that you have learned from previous modules into a single project or dissertation that you produce. You have a supervisor assigned to you whom you can ask for guidance from, but it's largely a piece of work that you complete on your own. And the sequence of events is as follows. So during the autumn semester of Year 1 for full-time students or Year 2 for part-time students, you should already be thinking about what topics you're most interested in, what areas you like, whether you prefer the development side or whether you think you'd prefer to write a dissertation. And many of the projects that you've done up to this stage should help you to make those decisions. By December 20th, 2016, you should contact me as the course director with a proposed project title, and also let me know whether you're planning a dissertation or a development project, because that might not be obvious from the title. Then the course team will meet in early January to allocate supervisors, and we'll be allocating them on the basis of those proposed topics. So while you can change your topics after the 20th of December, remember that your supervisor is allocated on the basis of the topic that you've given us on December 20th. There's an on-campus workshop on January 19th and 20th for the research methods module, and during this session you get a chance to work on your proposal either for a dissertation or an e-learning project. So the module runs over 2 days, during which you learn about research methods, proposal writing and applying for ethics approval, which we'll talk about briefly again. You'll also have time with me as the course director where you can talk about your ideas, though this module is organised and run by a different department. If you're doing a development project, you'll need to conduct a needs assessment before you can write the proposal for RM6011. So therefore, you'll need to apply for ethics approval before conducting the needs assessment, because the needs assessment requires you to do research involving human subjects. So we'll talk again later in this recording about what you need to do, but it's important to bear that in mind. RM6011 is a pass-fail module, so you must attend the session and submit your proposal in order to pass this module, and it's worth 3 credits in total. The proposal that you submit forms the basis of the EL6013 dissertation or development project, which you'll then undertake in the summer semester. And this proposal has to be submitted by Monday of week 9 of the spring semester, so that's March 20th. And you submit this proposal in fulfillment of the requirements for RM6011, but it's actually a proposal describing what you're going to do for EL6013, so those modules are linked. And then the summer semester is spent working on the dissertation or project for the EL6013 module. So you don't have to attend classes, but you have to maintain contact with your supervisor. And it's important to point out that we won't be chasing you or arranging meetings. You have to arrange the meetings with your supervisor. EL6013 is a normally graded module, which means you get a grade in the range A, B, C and so on, and you receive a grade letter. It's important to point out as well that this module is worth 30 credits, so it's weighted as 1/3 of your whole master's degree. And because it's such a substantial component of the degree, it's really important that you take this part of the program seriously, even though you won't have the structure of contact hours and deliverables as you would have with the other taught modules. You submit your dissertation or your e-learning project on the 4th of September, and all students who pass this module, along with having passed all other modules, graduate in January 2018. The objectives for this module are that you will be able to write and submit a project proposal. If you need to apply for ethical approval, that you'd be able to do so, and that you will have written and submitted a dissertation on a relevant topic, or produced a development project and written a shorter dissertation. So the objectives are clearly linked to the deliverables. You'll also see on the second page here the details about readings. Unlike other modules, this one does not have a specified reading list. Depending on the type of project that you're doing, your supervisor will suggest readings to you. And of course, many of the readings from other modules on the course will be relevant to you depending on the type of project that you're doing and the topic that you're covering. But as would be expected, you'll have to do a lot of independent reading, especially if you're undertaking a dissertation. So the module assessments are the RM proposal first of all, and the final dissertation or project. So the assessments are linked. The first stage is to do the proposal, and it's due on Monday of week 9 of the spring semester. It's actually for RM6011, but it's linked to EL6013. And there's a proposal template available in the EL6013 Solus site, and the requirements are different depending on whether you're doing a dissertation, which is quite a traditional proposal format, or whether you're doing a development route where you need to account for how you conducted a needs assessment. And with that in mind, applying for ethics approval is important at this stage if you're doing a development project, because you need to do a needs assessment, and that means that you need to determine whether there's a need for the course or other resource that you propose to develop. And you determine that need by doing research. Some of the research is secondary, of course, like online research or articles or books that you've read that help to show that there's a need for the resource. But in addition, it typically requires you to interview or survey subject matter experts and potential users of the course also to determine the best solution. So for example, if you're designing a course on scuba diving, you might want to interview people who are interested in doing this type of training to find out how they would use an e-learning course in conjunction with their training. You might want to interview or survey scuba diving teachers to determine what types of content could be covered by an e-learning solution. And all of that research involves human participants to ascertain whether there's a need for the course, and to show in your proposal that the course you're proposing is needed and that the solution you're offering is supported by research. So you need to get ethical approval before the proposal stage if you're doing an e-learning course or other type of resource, development resource. So for that reason, part of the purpose of the RM6011 Winter School is to prepare you for this stage. And during the RM6011 Winter School, you begin writing your ethics application. Your supervisor is also involved at this stage because your supervisor needs to sign off on your ethics application. So you need to arrange to meet them in order to show them what you're proposing to do. And once they've read it and are happy with it, they will sign off on it. Remember though that it is you who has to write the ethics application for your individual course or product for the needs assessment. So once your supervisor is happy to sign off on the form, you submit it to the ethics committee for approval. And I've put a link to the ethics documentation in the Solus site, and I will also upload a sample form. We don't know the dates of the February meeting yet, but I'll advertise them when they're available, because that's the meeting you have to apply to if you're doing a needs assessment. Because you'll also later be doing a usability study for your development project, it's a good idea to apply for ethics approval for both the needs assessment and the usability evaluation of the full course in a single application. And if you get both of these out of the way, you don't need to apply later in the semester for the second stage. It might sound from this outline that people doing a dissertation don't need to apply for ethical approval. Often they do. So if you're doing research involving human subjects for your dissertation, such as surveys or interviews or focus groups, you will need to apply, but you don't need to apply at the proposal stage. You can write the proposal without doing that research. So the research is for the dissertation itself. So you will need to apply in the spring semester. And again, you have to do that, making sure that you discuss the application with your supervisor. So the next page, page 3 of the module outline, describes the two types of deliverables that are to be produced depending on which route you take. The final submission, as we've said, is either a dissertation or a development project. Students taking the dissertation route submit a dissertation about research they have undertaken on a topic related to either technical communication or e-learning, and which they have proposed for the EL6013 proposal. And that dissertation is about 12,000 words long and is worth 100% of the final grade. And the components that you include are similar to the components that you would have included for the research project that you completed for TW5221. So you'll have typical elements as listed on page 3. And if you're doing research that involves human participants as part of the dissertation, you have to apply for ethical approval. Students who are doing a development project submit a completed course, an e-learning course or another type of online resource that's relevant to technical communication or e-learning, and they also have to submit a report about the usability of the course, and that's about 6,000 words long. The project part or the development part is worth 70% of the final grade in this case, and the report is worth 30%. And the EL6013 project site on Solus contains useful information and resources for both types. So next we come to submission and grading. The deadline for submissions, as we've mentioned, is Monday, September 4th, 2017 at 5 p.m. And you have to contact your supervisor about the way that you're going to submit and the type of format, particularly for development projects, so that you can be sure that your supervisor will be able to read or access the materials. All submissions are graded by the course team, and we may send some items to the external examiner for review. Just to summarise what you need to do then at each stage. In autumn semester of year 2 for part-time students or year 1 for full-time students, you need to be thinking about potential topics, and particularly whether you'd like to do a dissertation or a development project. You should email me by December 20th with a proposed topic and a statement about whether it's going to be a dissertation or a development project. And you also need to attend the RM6011 Winter School on January 19th and 20th. Then, by the spring semester, you need to be applying for ethical approval, and if you're doing a development project, you need to apply to the February meeting to ensure you have time to get approval and conduct the needs assessment for your proposal. You need to write and submit the proposal by Monday of week 9, And you also need to meet your supervisor during the spring semester and make a work plan, so that by the time you've completed all other coursework at the end of the spring semester, you'll be ready to start undertaking the work for the dissertation or development project and really hit the ground running. Then the bulk of the work comes in the summer. This is when you conduct research for and write your dissertation, or when you design your development project and conduct the usability evaluation and write up the subsequent report. Whichever route you're taking, you need to ensure that you maintain contact with your supervisor, that you're aware of your supervisor's availability over the summer, and that you agree a schedule with them for submitting any work you would like them to review. That's your responsibility, and your supervisor will not be chasing you for drafts. Remember also that there is a SOLA site for EL6013, and that you can use that site in the usual ways for looking at resources, sharing resources, and asking general questions about the dissertation or development project.